Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pass+Move podcast. It's episode 7. Today, we're joined by Tony Harris, Tom Saunters, Josh Page, myself, and our guest, Harley Discala. Hello, Harley.
Hello.
How are you?
I am marvellous, thank you.
Are your legs hurting?
My legs feel all right, actually, after this morning's cycle.
Yeah,
feeling fit.
That's great. What we're going to do is, to start with, we're going to go for a little club update from Tony on a couple of things. So, Tony, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, no worries, mate. More than hope we're well. Josh, should be hopefully an easier week for you this week, mate. No dunk, so maybe the editing might be a little bit cleaner.
Less editing.
Yeah, hopefully that'll work. So in terms of club update, there's been a few things that have happened the last week or so. All league applications have now gone off, so every team we'll be entering into Rother League, Crowber League and Sussex Sunday League, all applications are in. We have till the end of the month to get that done. So that's happening. We have not a clue when we'll be starting playing at this stage, obviously, but that's been done. We've been busy up at Netherfield Rec, trying to get the pitch into an improved state. We've had that verti-drained, seeded, 80 tonne of sport sand spread on it, and we now have the joy of watering it in the hope of getting it to germinate and take. So it's going to be a long couple of weeks till that can happen unless we get some rain. Quick update on the summer tournaments. They are being cancelled left, right and centre. So expectation on all 6-a-side and summer tournaments is that they will all be cancelled, which is probably to be expected, to be fair, in the current climate. I know anything up to the end of July is being cancelled. So every now and then we get an email to say that's happened. So we'll just see where we go once we get a go ahead to start training and playing again. That's it really, Brad, in terms of an update on the club. It's just ticking along and doing the bits behind the scenes that we need to do. We've agreed Catsfield again for another season. Ninfield's been agreed as a new venue.
Ewhurst is agreed.
Confirmed. Ewhurst is agreed. Netherfield's agreed. And Sanders Academy will continue as is, really. So we're pretty flat out behind the scenes doing bits, but
I think we're quite well organised, aren't we, for when we can eventually get going.
Yeah, the important thing for us as a club is making sure that we're ready to go once we get the go ahead to start training, playing, etc. So yeah, we're all good.
And just on that as well, if you haven't received a text from your manager, make sure that you cancel your payments for June. What we're going to talk about today is sort of charities. It's Mental Health Week this week, just gone. We're involved with quite a few charities as a club. Some people may or may not be aware of that. Myself, Tone, Luke, Dunk, possibly Harley might be doing we're doing the London to Brighton cycle in September, which we hope will be on. And we're doing that for Out of the Blue, Charity for Kids, sorry. So, yeah, just on charities, Tom, I don't know if you want to kick us off. Yeah, I can see you. I don't know if you
I'm woken up now, sorry.
I don't know if you want to kick us off with our sort of involvement with the charities.
Well, before we do that, can I just comment on how strong Tom's hair is looking? You're looking like an American politician every week.
I'll read that.
Have you seen the campaign? You've got strong hair.
I do not want to be involved with that. No,
but it's a good film. Get involved.
That is a great film, to be fair. Not particularly child friendly.
No.
So in terms of charities, I mean, Brad just mentioned Charity for Kids, which we've got quite an involvement with, obviously through your brother, Tone.
Yeah.
I think, is it Jay that's a parent on Dan's team as well?
Yeah, Jay Wood. So my brother founded it. Jay Wood, I think he's chairman now.
Yeah.
And many years ago, they sponsored one of our first kits. So we've always...
They did a training kit, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, and we've always had a close link through it being a local charity, through them supporting sick and terminally ill children from the Hastings area. And it's obviously something that resonates close to us all. So, yeah.
It fits quite well with us, doesn't it, I think, in terms of locality as well. So we've done a lot with them since the start. And then Out of the Blue, which is it's a horrible story, to be honest, but obviously through Casey Beckett, who's both her boys play for us, Tom and Nee, under will be under 16s, and Joe in Harley's and Tony's teams. We've done a lot with them as well, haven't we? And supported them in loads of different ways.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else we've worked with closely?
So in terms of actual links to official charities, we work very closely with Charity for Kids and Out of the Blue. We have done a number of varying fundraising events. So it may be more for an individual person who's trying to raise a bit of money. We did Fia's fundraiser where we purchased a inflatable hot tub for her. We've done football coaching days to raise money for her and for other people. So anything really we can get involved in. We're always happy to help, and whether it be a small donation or we can run a coaching session and donate all the money that's taken on the day for that. So yeah, it's nice to give back to the community. I think it's important as well as a club and as a football coaching setup. We're blessed to have quite a lot of people as part of that. So if we can utilise that and support local charities, then I think it's certainly something we should be doing.
Yeah, I think it fits in with our ethos quite well, doesn't it? In terms of we're football for all, and we believe that everyone should be given the opportunities to play. So, especially when you talk about local children, anything to do with that, we're always willing to help. So, if anyone's knows of anything that needs a bit of help, then you're always willing to listen and do what we can in that respect. So, yeah, big part of what we do, I think.
Right, I've got a question for you boys before we start. You know why I got involved and why Duncan and I both founded Pass+Move. We both had vested interest in that. I had my son playing, Dunk had his nephew playing, and that's how we started. You boys were all young lads without any dependence.
Careful where you go with this.
And this is I will only say this once, being very serious and very genuine. I have immense respect for you boys for turning up every week at training, every early Saturday morning and Sunday morning, when you could be out on the town as early 20s when you start. Well, teenage, I think, weren't you, Tom? Harley, were you in your teenagers when you both started?
Yeah.
Josh and Brad, same.
I was 17.
Yeah. So many a teenage lad would be out on the drink and struggling to do anything. You boys get up and give kids a game of football every week, and have done that, and I have immense respect for that. My question for you lot is why? Harley, start with you as our guest for the week. Why did you agree to take a team on, and why did you get involved in coaching with us?
Well, originally it came from me actually wanting to be a PE teacher. Right from, I think I was about year 9 when I wanted to become a PE teacher, and working with kids is what I wanted to do. And of course, playing football and seeing my football coaches, I always looked up to them. So I started coaching when I was 15, and I kind of went straight from being coached to kind of learning off the coaches and coaching, and just stayed in it and kind of got the bug for it, really. And although I didn't go into PE teaching in the end, I just love coaching. The kids want to be there, and just carried on right the way through. And even, well, in recent years, when I haven't been able to coach as much, I still never wanted to give it up. Just what I love doing, really.
Tom?
It's pretty similar in terms of the way I got into coaching originally. I was the same age as Harley. I was 15. I did work experience at my local primary school, and they asked if I could come and run an after-school session. That's how I started, just kind of fell into it. Helped out at a local session that I did when I was younger. And then Ross got me into Pass+Move, so I was doing that just off my own back, really. And then I was probably, I must have been like 17 or 18.
Were you working at McDonald's still when you first started? You were working at McDonald's, weren't you? Yeah.
I used to do like closes at McDonald's when I was about 18. So I'd work on a Friday night. So I was at sixth form at the time. So I would be at sixth form 5 days a week till like whatever time, get home at like 5, go to McDonald's at 6, work through till like 2 a.m, get up and be at St Leonard's Academy for like 8:30 or whatever. Do that, go straight to football with Westfield, with reserves, travel all over the place, play that, and then go back to work 6 till 2 a.m, then get up and help Ross with a team on a Sunday morning as well. So you said about going out on the town and all that kind of stuff. I didn't actually have time for that anyway. Whether that played a part, I don't know. But yeah, I think like you kind of hardly said about getting the bug. I don't know. Yeah, it almost becomes a habit, to be honest, because you have it fits in quite well with the whole mental health thing, because you have good days and bad days, and sometimes you can get quite low with it, and I have at times. But I think that consistency of always being around it and that habit of Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and seeing people having fun and enjoying themselves, it probably can help you through, the rubbish times as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably why I've stuck at it. It's something I love doing. It's a habit. It's something I do, and when I'm not doing it now, it doesn't feel right. You feel like something's missing when you're not doing it. Personally,
yeah. Josh,
I think I was playing under 18s at Westfield, and I think Tom put a post on the Westfield Facebook page.
Yeah, I remember speaking to your mum on the phone actually.
Yeah, saying anyone wants some part-time coaching work. I had not seen it. Mum was desperate to, stop me leeching off her. Oh, is time gone?
Time's not enough. Enough of your rubbish, mate.
Oh. Sorry, I was getting asked a question by the family. Sorry, Josh, I was really interested, mate, but I had to
go. Yeah, and it just kind of left from there. I think I started, was it Battle after school?
Yeah, I used to pick you up from college, didn't I?
Yeah.
Drive at that point, pick you up from college, take you to our school session.
I was really quiet to start with.
That's brilliant. I miss those days.
Don't we all?
God, yeah.
I think we made Josh what he is today.
I feel partially responsible for him being such a nuisance, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in terms of getting up Sunday mornings, it's all right. Me and Brad, we don't drink, so we're not really out on the town
until... Yeah. I don't drink.
Brad, why did you get involved, mate?
Mine's very similar to everyone's, but Harley's sort of wanted to be a PE teacher from when I was really young. I finished college, did sport at college and all that, and just sort of didn't really want to do it. Just didn't really fancy it. But how I got into coaching, and my mum and my family are quite close to Jim Colston. And at the time I was at Safa playing, and then I sort of left football for a couple of years, and then he was like, "Oh, come and coach for me." I must have been probably about 15, I reckon. And then I did work experience at Buxwood, at his Buxwood International Academy. And that was really good, because it was quite a good insight into sort of coaching at that age. And then, I just went from that. So I started coaching for Safa on Saturday mornings with Tex, all that lot. But yeah, I must have been about 15, 16. I remember getting bullied by most of the kids when I was like 15, 16.
Now.
Yeah.
10-year-old better than you.
And he just couldn't get enough of it.
No, seriously. I was like, oh, God. So, yeah, no, I'd spent quite a lot of time with Andy Corrigan coaching on Saturday mornings. And then they just didn't really have enough sort of work for me or anything like that. So I remember coming for a job interview with you guys.
I still remember.
Yeah, a session on, didn't he?
Do you remember he did the cone game? The cone game that now everybody still uses as well.
Yeah, I remember coming to I literally left Safa, had to get the train as quick as I could over to you before you guys ended at 11:30. Got there, saw Ross first. I was like, I'm looking for a Tom. And he was like, yeah, he's inside. I was like, great. And I found Tom and just explained what, and then I did that session in the YMCA.
That's the one. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but there's like you say, there's times sometimes where you just think, oh God. I remember doing that, so I had to get the train all the time when I did coaching in schools. I had to get the train to Battle and Langton, and it was a nightmare because I finished college, had to run home, run to the train station, get the train, hope that the ticket man didn't get me because I really didn't fancy paying £5 to pay a train ticket. Get my Battle. Run back down, run up to Battle and Langton for 3 o'clock, then run all the way back down after, try and get the early train back so I could go home. If I didn't, I then had to get off at West St Leonard's and literally go straight up and do, I think your age group, Harley, with Mike Barnes.
Yeah, I remember you doing that. Yeah.
But that was like completely voluntary, and the only reason you do that is just for the kids. You just want to see them do better and all that sort of stuff. I didn't have to do that because it wasn't my team. but you still want to go along, get a bit more experience and do that. And then obviously took on what is my under 10s now, had them at under 7s. Definitely got bullied when I was at under 7s. But now they're just great. I love it. I love it. Abby always asks me, like, why do you just get up on a Saturday morning? And you just do, because. And the thing is, they're getting older, my team now, and some of the stuff they come out with is so funny. It just makes you laugh. Like, you feel like they're like your mates in a way. It's really weird. Like, when they've got older, you can start having a laugh with them now, and it's really funny.
I'll tell you what, it's when you want to laugh, but you know you can't.
You can't laugh at some of these things. We could do an entire podcast on things we've heard children say at our sessions.
Yeah.
And honestly, you would not believe.
My favourite one, I'll only do one. My
favourite one
was at St Anne's Academy, and Ozzy from your age group, Harley, was there. And someone said something, and he looked at one of the coaches said something to me. He just turned to me and went, "Your mum." And literally, as he did it, I was trying not to laugh, trying to keep a straight face, trying just to, I don't know, look anywhere but at him, and I was in bits.
Ozzy comes out with some crackers, to be fair.
I mean, my age group, so they're, of course, year 8 will be year 9 next year. And we'll be, it's things like working on like attacking scenarios, and I just say the word penetrate.
That's your first. See, look at Josh and Dan. They cannot help themselves.
And you just sit. I look up, and you just see them all laughing, and it is funny, to be fair.
So one thing I wanted to just to touch on, obviously I mentioned earlier, I've got massive respect for you boys, especially at like your teenage years when you're all going out or working at McDonald's, Tom. How much respect I've got for you boys, giving your time up doing that. The other thing that Brad mentions as well. We have two sides to Pass+Move. We've got Pass+Move school coaching, where you boys will get paid not a massive amount to go and do a school session.
Nominal fee.
a donation.
Not enough.
We'll get a small expense towards your travel. And then we have the football club, where you guys, well, not just you guys, but everyone does it voluntary. And I think that's another thing, is I don't know what parents think or what they expect, but you like me, like everyone who's coaching, doesn't get paid to take training, doesn't get paid to take the game. So when you're dragging your sorry backsides out of bed at 7 a.m. or sometimes earlier to get there, set up pitches, all the running around running the game, running the team training, that's all done on a voluntary basis. And it's genuinely, I have so much respect for anyone that gives up their time to give kids a game of football. But sometimes more when I look at it, when it's a parent running the team, you understand why they're doing it. They're there because their kids playing. But when it's like you guys who don't have a sibling or a child playing, and you're still there all the time, sometimes late, Josh, but you're still there, and you're still
late.
You're putting a stint in, and you're doing it for the love of the game.
Speaking of late,
I think it's brilliant. Talking of late, someone who's fashionably late, don't let him in.
Is Dunk waiting to get in?
Can you kick him out?
Dunk.
Oh,
hello.
Yeah.
Speaking of late,
not let him in, have you?
Are you confusing me? Is that what's been going on?
Mate, you look like you phoning in on some sort of reporter away somewhere.
Mate, the angle you're at makes your swimming pool look massive.
Have you
swimming
been
pool or nose?
Have you been skateboarding? Is this why you missed the bike ride?
What is that at the back of your head?
What?
Firstly,
turn round.
Looking at the grease on that, you thought it was Dunk that works at McDonald's.
Look at my AirPods. My AirPods aren't working.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
iPods.
So, right, touching on what we just spoke about, actually at Dunk at the beginning, we said Josh will have an easy week, no editing because you're not on it. Can we just...
Yeah,
just keep it.
I'm not that bad.
Oh, wow.
You are.
Right, boys, when you got into coaching, why you did it, we've covered that. What's the biggest buzz for you four?
Payday.
Voluntary pay when I bring you a cup of tea on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning.
Good for you, Joshua.
I'll tell you what, it's not. I mean, you always get a buzz when your team's playing well and your team's winning, but it's when you've been working on. For me, anyway, it's when you've been working on something specific, or you've even been working on a particular player on something specific, and you finally see it come together on the pitch, and it's like that clicking moment, and you're like, yes, Like
Exactly.
it really doesn't matter on the result when that happens, but when the kids are giving like 100% effort, and then it finally happens, I get such a buzz off for that.
Yeah.
For me.
Josh?
Same as Harley. When you work
That's
on something in
cop-out.
training and you see it in a game, it's just shows that they do actually listen sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Tom?
I like the feeling of kind of being part of something. We talk a lot about, and I think it's a bit cliche to be fair. We talk a lot about sort of being a family in terms of the club. But I honestly, when you look at just generally grassroots football and look at clubs, especially locally, you would say how many of them are so intrinsically linked together in terms of from under sevens to the adults. You know, everything. I love the fact that so many coaches, parents, players within the club know each other and feel part of the same thing and work towards the same goals and play the same way. It's not like we've got teams that go off and we say, go run yourselves and have your own philosophy and do what you like. Everyone puts their own twist on things, but we're all part of the same sort of journey.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? I love that, to be honest.
Turn them around and clip line a twist, Harley.
Wait, say that again.
Turn
around
them
a clip line.
Brad, what about you?
There.
Brad, what's your biggest buzz from coaching?
God, it's quite hard to explain. I don't know. It's just there's been times like this season where you just like almost like take yourself out of it. A bit like Tom said with just the whole of grassroots football. You just take yourself out of it, sit back, and you're like, it's just great. Like you just watch it and you just think this is great. Or even if your team just scores like a really, really good goal or something, you just sit there and they're all absolutely buzzing, and they all do these mental Fortnite celebrations. They'll run over to the corner flag and start dabbing and or whatever, and you just sit there and think you're just a bunch of nutters. Like you just are, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, that's probably why.
I'll tell you what, one that's just come to me because if Dunk didn't hear that, one that just come to me was it was really kind of out of the blue. I didn't expect to receive this text, and I won't say who it's from, but one of my players had been having quite a torrid time at school. I don't know if it'd been for a week or so, but it was really, really low. wasn't really sure whether or not he wanted to come to training. Ended up coming to training, and then about an hour after, I received this really long text saying, thank you. The whole session had really like upped his mood, and well, especially with the mental health awareness that we're speaking on today. It was kind of just unrelated to football, but what the football and the session had psychologically on that player was fantastic. And then for them to send me a text about it, even just a text, it goes such a long way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I had a smile on my face all night, all the next day. Just something small, just such a nice touch, and that gave me such a buzz. Yeah,
I mean, go in terms of the like what the best thing for me. It makes it a bit weird in terms of like coaching stuff, but actually, when I'm not running a team, I love it. There's nothing better for me than whether it's tournaments, matches. Obviously, we have a lot of games back to back on pitches and stuff. If I go to St. Academy or Clavering or something, and you get to watch 1, 2, 3 games and see different teams, and speak to the parents, you're having a chat with our coaches and stuff like that, reffing games. Even if I ref like 3 games back to back, I love it. I just love watching our teams objectively and not actually being involved in the game. You know what I mean? Not having to worry about things.
I agree with that. When you get to stand there and just observe it, and you don't have any, not baggage is probably the wrong word, but any baggage of what's happened that season, and
you're not worrying about what sub you're not make.
Absolutely, you just stand there freely and watch it and enjoy it. It's brilliant. It is really good.
You love that even more than cutting the grass, Tom.
I can hear you.
What's your biggest buzz, mate?
What, mate? I'm still playing catch up. What are you talking about? The biggest buzz when we're coaching?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've said this. I've said this before. For me, my biggest buzz is working with the youngsters who come into it, and they come into it and they're for whatever reason they're shy, or they're just behind the curve. They might not have kicked a ball properly before. You can see they're playing catch up. When a parent will come to me on a Saturday morning, bring their kid for the first time, and they'll say, the amount of times I've had a parent come up and say, look, he's not very good. He can barely really kick a ball, but he just loves playing football. And working with those kids, knowing now that those children over the space of for 3 or 4 months, it depends child to child, but you'll suddenly see them develop and improve. And because they're improving, they'll suddenly grow in confidence, and you'll just see them fall in love with football. So they'll go from playing a game that they're very nervous about doing because they can sense that they're behind their friends, to suddenly just engaging with everyone and just love playing football. And we've got kids who've gone through that journey that are now some of the best players in the club. We've got others that will just, are just enjoying playing football. But for me, that development curve from those little kids who come in, to start with, they can barely kick a ball through the.
I do love that when a parent comes out and goes, they're not very good.
I love it.
I love that, because I love the fact that I can go, just leave them with us. We've got this. And that's not in an arrogant way, because that just getting them playing.
But the reason I love it, sorry, jump in, Tone, is because is he still there? No, he's frozen. Good look.
Oh, he's back.
Is when we first did it, a parent had come up when we first started. If a parent came up to me and said he's not very good, he can barely kick a ball, I'd be, oh Jesus, oh no, this is going to be hard work. And you'd kind of be, I phrased the wrong word, but you'd be very trepidatious with it as to how do I handle this child, because I can tell he's behind the other kids. Now it's the biggest buzz. I love it.
That's our bread and butter.
And I'll tell you what, it was. It was always at the Saturday morning sessions, but the smile on the child's face when they score that first goal, it's incredible.
Yeah. Am I the only one on here?
Sorry, the one that stands out for me was on that first Holland trip, when Sam scored that goal. That smile. Oh my God.
Yeah, sums up.
Am I the only one on here who thinks Harley's actually like landing a fighter pilot simulation or something like that?
No, we've covered off top already.
I think he's talking to us, and then he's on the laptop landing a 747 or something like that.
I'm Harley's co-pilot. It's fine.
The time locally is.
No, that's me.
On that kind of reverse of that, what's your biggest bugbears? What's the things that annoy you most?
Seeing you early in the morning.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
The polar opposite.
Go on, Tone. I reckon you hate things.
I've got a number of things that irritate me.
Keep clean.
I'm just trying to.
Has anyone got one?
I'm just trying to make sure what I give doesn't open up a whole can of worms.
Well, mine's going to open a whole can of worms. So I love it when a parent will come up to us and say he's not very good. On the polar opposite, and I know it's different parent to parent, but when a new player joins on a Saturday morning and I get the opposite, he's very, very, very good. He's very talented. He's very skillful. Like that, it's just it's parent to parent. I get it, and they want to tell me that their child is a good player, but it's not. Well, it's just not what we're about. So
we've all had those messages, haven't we? Especially you get them on the Pass+Move Facebook page. You get the odd message that goes, "Oh, we'd like to join you" or whatever, and he's 8, but he's already a left back, and he's really quick, and he's good at defending 1-on-1 and things like that. Oh my God.
I mean, sometimes
it's like a scout report.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes there'll be Saturday morning, and I kind of take it with a pinch of salt. And usually the parents will then suddenly learn how we do things, and that we're different, and we do have a different mentality towards things, and they'll be fine. They'll fit in. And you know what? Sometimes I'll look over, and you'll see that child, and you will think, well, actually, fair point. He or she got a point. It's very, very, very good. It's just not how we approach things when we're talking about little kids playing football. So yeah, Tone, go on, you're rubbing your lip. Go.
I've got a few things that get my goat a little bit, but I don't know.
Can I just put in first? Losing footballs. Let's just get that out of the way.
Oh, that is no. Don't even say it.
I hadn't even thought of that. Losing footballs, watching kids. Actually, linked to that. Session ends or a game ends, and a parent and a kid decide to kick a ball back in the goal when you're packing away. And the balls will end up behind the goal, miles away, and they just walk off and leave them. That That and people not replying to text messages about a game or about training.
That's a really good one.
Oh, who on your 14s
Okay.
is
I'm going to stop.
Oh, wait, yeah, hang on. Well, let's
Come on,
not
who on your 14s?
Tony was on a roll.
Go on.
Name and shame. Name and
No,
shame.
well, there'll be the ones I don't text about the new season.
Can anyone hear that? Is that can of worms? Is it?
Yeah. I'm putting that lid back on.
Go on, Harley. I reckon you've got a couple.
The thing
Children
is,
that can't kick a ball the length of a pitch. He hates it.
yeah, I hate it. I can't stand it.
When a child can't win a header.
I'll tell you what, I think I had more when I was kind of early on, but you kind of get used to it, and then it's not a hate anymore. But one that still does get me is when you get parents, and it used to happen a lot more, not so much now, coaching the complete polar opposite to what you're coaching on the side of a pitch. And it's
Can of worms.
How you tackle it.
On a rant, I'm
Name and shame.
Let's talk about what annoys us.
But you know what? My age group's fantastic. I mean, all the parents help me away now.
Absolute top hat. He's just trying to climb back out of that hole he's just dug himself.
But no, and it's also, I mean, sometimes you can put different ideas in a child's head. It's just how you tackle that, how you get around it. But ultimately, there's not a lot that bothers me too much anymore. You play the odds, I suppose, the odd team where not the biggest fan of some of the other methods used, and you do see it from time to time, and that kind of annoys me in a way for the kids, if anything. But it's a tricky one because you can't really say anything, but you're like, oh, I feel for them.
Yeah, I've no issue with how they play the game. My issue is I agree with what you said about parents coaching from the sideline, especially when it's different to what you're trying to coach. That really is hard work. The other thing is it's difficult because we spoke about this last week. I think Dunk made a really valid point that you don't know what the fella's going or the coach is going through at the time. They might be having a really tough time. But when you hear someone aggressively screaming at kids, and I'm like, wow, please don't do that, especially at young age.
It's when parents accept it as well, and like it's the norm.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
I cannot get my head around that. Why would you? You wouldn't send if you took your kid to school and put them in a maths class and the teacher's screaming they can't get it right.
Oh, you'd be complaining.
You'd be reporting them straight away. Yeah. Why would you voluntarily take them? I don't know. I don't get it.
And I tell you what, one of the last matches we played before all the freak weather and coronavirus, I can't remember what team it was, but I remember specifically that there was a child on the opposite team. So they had 3 subs, and of course it's roll on, roll off. You can use the subs as many times as you want. And there was one lad that was just stood there for the whole game, didn't even get on at all. And the game was very, very close game. But if that's going to be the case, I mean,
yeah.
I'll tell you what. If we're talking about coaches, and actually, Tony, you paid me a compliment there. I've taken a note of that. Thank you very much.
I have just noticed
he's been really nice today.
Been very nice to me.
He gave us compliments earlier as well.
Mental health, I've been on a bike ride and I feel better about myself now, so I'm being nice.
No, it was that massive lump of cheese he had before he came on. Perked it right up.
Don't criticise the cheese. But, you're talking about the things coaches do and things like that. I think if there's one thing I've learned, and I still do it now, but I do try so hard not to, is I think it's very easy to forget that when you're trying to shout instructions at kids when they're playing football, they take in so little when they're playing football. They take in so little. And you've got to remember that. They're out there to play football and enjoying themselves. And I've been there where I've been the coach on the sideline trying to get a bit of instruction across the kid on the far side of the pitch. I can remember more than one occasion, actually. I've done it with older age kids where I've been shouting across the length of the pitch, trying to get instruction across and forgetting that the wind's blowing as well. I'm shouting very loud. He's not going to listen to me at the best of times, let alone when there's a hurricane going on as well. And it makes you sound like from the side of the pitch, the screamy, shouty coach. So I've definitely done it. I know I've done it. And I think if there's one thing I try to do when I'm coaching, exactly. I try so hard to say as little as possible. Having said that, there are games when you need to, and you joke about the snap, stretch, especially with the youngsters. Some days, it's my favourite adage is good players make coaches redundant, and we all want to sit on the sidelines and say absolutely nothing and just watch them enjoying playing football. But now and then you need to, and it might be a day where it's got to be snap, because you need to get them going. It varies from day to day. I think you've just got to remember, or I try to remember that at times when I'm in that kind of mindset, because I need to do that with the children, don't want to cross the line where I go from encouraging and getting them moving to being the coach on the sideline screaming and shouting like a lunatic. I think it's a very easy, fine line to fall into. Because let's be honest, every one of us, even now, have been in a position with it, working with a team who's might be one of the best teams in the club, where you get frustrated by it and it's not happening, and we fall into that trap. We've all done it.
Yeah. Sometimes you get the passion does just take over.
Why is he grinning? I've got Tony grinning and naming in the top right hand corner.
Then you're thinking, maybe I should just let it play a bit. But sometimes the passion just goes out the window, and you just do it, and then you.
Andy.
That's absolutely mustard, Sam.
That's a great.
I love so much.
I think my one I get Nicky Tammy from is love that. I tend to say that quite a lot. Love that. When something good's happening.
I tend to I'll be on the side now, and I mean I used to be a lot more vocal earlier on. Now I do stand back, and then I'm talking through the game and what they should be, but I'm muttering under my breath. I'm like, go on, pass it, go on, put it through ball, go on, do it.
I do,
and I'm like commentating on the game while I'm there.
Nothing. If you've ever refereed Cookie's team, Sam Bumpus, right, is the best player to be anywhere near on the pitch, because he's a fantastic player, brilliant, but he talks himself through the game. He like commentates on what he's doing, almost like in the third person. It's amazing. Not like really loud, but he just kind of like under his breath. It's the funniest thing, honestly. I wish
I could do that while I'm playing. But when I'm playing, it's usually all that comes out my mouth is
yeah.
Help!
Help!
I think we've
Sorry, I've just got a view of his ponytail. I can't be nice. What are you stating that about?
What are you going on about? I've got a cat fight of all cat fights going on.
Mate, I don't care about your cat fight. All I can see is your barnet sticking out the back of your cap, and you look.
Oh, mate, when he goes cycling, someone's got to have had a tug on that, surely.
Like, you have deliberately put it through the hat.
I have, yeah.
Oh my god,
Tony, you forgot what it's like to have hair. So,
oh, mate, I can forget what it's like, but I can still see. I'm not blind. Wow. Right, what we doing next?
Can I add before we move on? Things that annoy you in coaching. I'm going to go for 3. 1, equipment. When someone else steals your equipment, oh my days! So you're about to start your session, and then you go, "Where are the red bibs? Who's taking the red bibs?"
Yeah.
To be fair,
someone's walked off with them outside, and you just sit there, and you've got 1,000 kids. Not 1,000. You've got 30 kids sitting in the other hall going, and you're like,
"Oh no."
Not gonna lie, Brad, I have done that to you a few times.
But the thing is, I haven't even needed
the equipment. I just knew
the thing is, you do it, and then because someone does it to you, you and go and nick someone else's, and it doesn't even need to be the person that's nicked yours. So like, just like nick my stuff, and I'll nick Tom's.
A lot.
I'll be back in a sec. 2 seconds.
Don't worry, it's fine, mate.
You'd put all the bibs in proper colour piles, and then Dunk walks in from outside.
Yeah.
And goes, "Oh look, it's already sorted," and just picks him up. They're like, "No, Dunk."
I remember. I think it was me and you, Harley, spent a good half an hour colour coordinating all the cones.
That
and
sounds
putting
like
them. Like
Harley.
It was like.
I've well drilled my players now. So whenever we finish a session, right, everything's picked up and the cones all colour coordinated at the end. I've drilled them.
That's
since under 8.
That's my second thing. My second thing is I cannot deal with the equipment when it's literally like everywhere. And I wish you could have bags of 3s, bags of 4s, but no, they're like balls everywhere.
No, I'm not having this, because every Thursday at Claremont, right, we're packing away and the kids are all packing away, and who's still over by the goals levering balls into a goal? Who is it, Brad? Who is it, Brad?
That's all right, though.
Every time.
I'll tell you what, they wouldn't even have to be in this chat. You could just say which 2 Pass+Move coaches would be doing that.
Yeah, 100%.
And what would your answers be?
They're here, yeah. These
dumber.
Dumb and dumber.
Just class footballers. We're just trying to show off our talent. Show the kids
Need all the
I suppose at least,
yeah.
on a positive, you're still practicing. And
I think it's more we need the extra practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then my other one is when you have a session and like just before you start the session, so the kids will be sitting there and it's like they've all just got a bag of sugar and just eaten the whole bag of sugar before, and you're just like or they've just done a whole packet of like Percy Pig fizzy Percy Pig sweets.
That's just giving them a packet of Haribo's for breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you hate that?
Brad, those
Where's
Percy Pigs
that
this morning on that bike ride were decent.
They were decent.
They were very good.
It's
likewise. You had Percy Pigs. You just had a block of cheddar.
It's literally when you're about to do a session and the kids are just absolutely hyper and you can't they're just going mental, and whatever you do or say, they just want to stand up and run to the other side of the hall for no reason.
We always get our own back at Easter and Christmas when we load them up with sweets and stuff, and then send them back to their parents.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm really keen on is we spoke about why you got into coaching and etc. That we now have my under 14s, which will be 15s, are now starting to get involved in a bit. We've had a few of the under 12s doing a bit with Fletch and who was the other one, Tom?
Archie runs a bit.
Archie,
I've got from Harley's age, Ollie from is it Ollie? It is Ollie from Alex's team. We've just come over this season. He's been helping with the under 7s or 8s. Oscar's done a bit as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love seeing the kids start to get in early. And I know I think Harley and Brad, I think you both had that similar journey with Jim at Safa.
Yeah, Safa,
yeah. You were there as kids and then you started to coach a bit.
And that up until under 14s, and then had, I think it was like 6 months or so. It was like a crossover. I was still playing, introduced the coaching, and then I was a homeboy for like a good year.
But that's where we start, though, isn't it? You look at where we start. My lad's been doing it. Harry's been doing it. And Louis Selling, a few others have been getting involved as well, and some of the young ones do. I think it's brilliant. I think if we can get enough kids that want to do it, and then getting refereeing, Jacob Marshall's done quite a bit, to be fair.
Yep.
And the more we can get in doing it, it helps their game, I think, in terms of their development. But B, I think it's brilliant to see them giving back to the next generation. That's one of the reasons I got into coaching, as well as Alf. But I got into adult coaching, and I was a big believer in playing younger kids in adult football as quick as we could if they were up to it. It was I think it's brilliant to see that ethos come through.
Why don't you give Tom?
That's what you did with
did.
like to me and
never played
Tom.
Tom.
Then Westfield.
We look at Ross and you, and
I played a men's game before I played the under 18s.
Yeah,
I've got Sam Lovell in my team. So like the Lovells, they're involved. So Jules is like his mum is like physio for Hollington, and then Jake, who is his older brother, who I think plays for Hastings United, he does write up for the Hollington games.
Does the match reports, doesn't he?
And they're really, really good. And he this season, his mum asked me if he could start getting involved in the coaching. And towards the end of this season, like we would have been doing it. If something had all happened, he's been doing the coaching with me, and he wants to do. He's like, I'll be the assistant manager for next year. And the kids, the amount of respect he gets from the kids, and that's one of those things where I said about earlier, where you just sit back and take it in. I let him do like the second half of our game, the last game we played, and you just listening to him, and he's 14, I think, and he's just coming. You stand there, and you're like, this is amazing, because some of the stuff he comes out with, and
he's better than me.
Yeah, he's never had any of it with us or anything like that. But he watches the games every week, and he just gets it. And the kids listen to him. It is really, really good to see. So that's another one, and he's not even involved with us as such. But that's brilliant. Just him wanting to get into football. You think he's playing for Hastings, writing match reports for Hollington, and then coaching for us. He's just football round.
Do you know what's quite a good one? If we've all talked about sort of how we started, especially with Pass+Move, if you could go back to your very first session when you were coaching, what would you say to yourself? What advice would you give yourself?
What are you doing here?
Don't do it. Go on. What advice would you give yourself? What would you say, Josh? Go on.
Billy Hardy was in my first session.
Oh,
so just something to calm him down a little bit.
I'd come straight from men's football. So I'd been doing men's football and then started
Very,
very, very different. And oh my God, there's a few things that I regret, especially with well, I'll open up.
That was a horrible laugh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's a lot. Just don't take it so seriously would be my advice in the beginning. Yeah. I would literally treat it like an adult game at the start. And some of the stuff I think about when I look back at it, I cringe at what I was like.
How many 4-year-olds did you tell to clip line?
Are you talking to me or Harley? Because I've never asked a kid to clip line.
He's asked them from 4 all the way through to 13, I think.
Just keep building those thigh muscles up. We're turning around. We'll be fine.
My style of play.
Harley hasn't doing beach runs at under 8s.
Pays off, Josh. Pays off.
Going to be the fittest team in the league, mate.
What do you reckon, Dunk? Dunk, because you obviously had a similar journey to Tone and did at the same time go from adults to kids. What would you say?
I was petrified of them. I was literally. I can remember the first couple of sessions we did. So Tony dragged me along to start doing it at Clavering. We started up a few test sessions, and we only had 5 or 6 little kids, and 2 of those kids I knew quite well because one was my nephew, the other was Alfie, and the others were Harry's mates. But I was petrified of them.
I remember one week we had 3 kids, and one was Harry, one was Alfie.
But what were you scared of then? Was it like in terms of because you didn't know what to do, or
I don't know. Yeah, I can't put me. I was just very nervous teaching them. I was very nervous how you get everything across to. So I think the message to me would be just calm down and make sure they have fun. That was it. Because I think back then, coming from the same environment that Tony said, the football, we'd come from UEFA B badges, all that kind of stuff, and men's football environment, and we had a very different picture of what football coaching was, and we hadn't learned what we'd learned now. That the way you help kids develop is a completely different way to it is with teaching technical football to older footballers. So the message would be very simple: smile, have fun, and make sure they enjoy themselves, and be loud. Because it is incredibly important when we have coaches and now like the youngsters coming through, the Harrys teaching, the Alfies teaching, anyone involved, you have to say the same thing. You've got to kind of be louder with them when you're speaking to them because they just you have to be able to holler above them, for want of a better phrase.
Loud and simple.
Without being aggressive.
That's how I would describe Josh, actually. Loud and simple.
You don't shout. Don't shout. You just project. One that I wish I learned earlier. I didn't learn this until uni actually. Don't turn your back. You can coach just by going around the sides and then stopping and showing. But the amount of times, and kids like a little bit of mischief, don't they? And
I like mischief, like giving you an extra player mid-session just to confuse you.
Oh yeah,
especially when you got a good number.
Harley,
can you take
an extra
one?
Can you take an extra couple?
13 is horrible.
But no, when I first started, I was so guilty of. I'd see a child struggling to do a skill. I'd go over, and actually, my back would be facing the rest of the kids, and they're all just mucking about it. Oh, look, he's not even looking.
Him.
But yeah, you learn that when you're like, oh, why can't I control this group of kids? And that's why. I wish I knew that.
Have you worked that out now?
Only just.
What do you reckon? Brad, what about you, mate?
Be patient with the kids and with sort of like myself, because when I first got into it, everything like I don't know, just got really like flustered with it. I don't know, you just like I'd be like running around like, oh my god, I've got to do this, but and everything became really rushed, and it was like you've got to do this, and that's not how to do it. Like I used to, and when I first started doing the Saturday morning sessions, I'd do like a skill or a turn or whatever, and show the kids, and I'd be like, I need to move on, I need to keep this going, and that's how, and that's, I just need to be more patient with it and make sure everyone sort of actually learns what you're doing, because I just, and in myself as well, I used to run around and be like, I need to do this, and that's how it was. So yeah, just patient with the kids and patient with yourself, I think.
I think that's a really good point, Brad, actually, because when I was talking about how I was almost petrified of them at first. We've all been there when a session's just, you plan maybe an overcomplicated session for an age group too young. And then as opposed to just knocking it on the head and making that mistake, you you kind of keep going with it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And you can tell. Look, we've all been delivering a session where you can tell it's not going well, and it's having the confidence just to very quickly knock it on the head and just say, just let them play football. Don't overcomplicate it. I used to do that so much. I used to make overcomplex sessions for younger kids, and then feel the panic in me because the parents were all watching, and I could tell it wasn't working, not going the way it was supposed to, and you're like, oh, it's just because you overcomplicate it.
Sometimes just knowing your progressions and it's actually knowing how to simplify it before you go in, and not just be like, right, this is my session, which happens early on in coaching, where you think one session is going to cater for everyone. Actually, no, you need both sides. You need to differentiate it, but that's something that comes, like, I mean, you end up learning it. The more and more you do it, you learn it. You learn it off other coaches. But when you first get into it, that's
I would say
one of the most difficult bits.
Probably the most important. If I went back to sort of 15, 16 especially, I would probably say, even actually, to be fair, you could probably go back probably 2, 3, 4 years maybe for me, and say that deal with the person before the footballer.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite easy to go in and go, right, this is a football coaching session. You're a footballer. My sole purpose is to improve you as a footballer. And it's easy to forget that, like the point that was made earlier about other coaches, they're human beings and you don't know what's going on in their life. You know, people are at school, they're at home, anything could be going on. I think it's really, really important to build relationships and know the person before you can expect them to listen to you, improve as a footballer. I think that's one that I would say probably Duncan said it and Tone said about adult football and kids football being really different and how you do it. I would say that is something that actually translates no matter who you're coaching, to be honest. I think you'll be a lot more successful and you'll find things a lot easier if you get to know the person before you try and worry about the football side of things too much.
Have you listened to Rio Ferdinand's podcast at all?
No.
He had Cesc Fabregas on it the other day, and he was saying it goes up to professional levels. Like, what is Dunk doing?
Sorry.
It goes up to a professional level. Or just leave.
Yeah, just go.
He was saying Mourinho is really, really good.
Like management.
Yeah.
Everyone says the same, don't they? Because there's a lot of talk in the press about him now saying he's finished, he's not what he was, he's an old coach. Every single player at United, at Tottenham, all come out and say how good he is. Well, not every single, but most of them come out and say how good he is in terms of around the complex to talk to. So, I think that is a very valid point, Tom, what you're making.
I can't remember. I saw something the other day. It might have been actually on that. I was talking about Harry's Heroes in the week. It might have been that. And there was someone talking about coaching. Oh, it was. Did you see Match of Their Day last night? They had Ashley Cole on. And he said about what he'd taken from previous coaches. And he said about Carlo Ancelotti at Chelsea. And the word he said was safe. He said he loved playing under him because all of the sessions, match days, he always felt like someone that put an arm around you. You felt safe. You were safe to express yourself, to talk about anything. You just felt at home. You felt comfortable.
Yeah.
I think anyone in anything you do, any environment, if you feel comfortable and you feel safe in what you're doing, you're much more likely to be successful and express yourself and go places, to be honest.
And all players react in different ways. There was the whole thing about Fergie and who he gave his hairdryer treatment to, wasn't it? And he gave it to a lot of players, but not the ones that
couldn't handle it.
That couldn't handle it. And I'll tell you what, that was, I suppose, I mean, you get it in adults and kids, and you have teammates that you play around, and sometimes it's like the strikers, and you're like, oh, they've played an awful game. Why isn't the manager really had to go? And there's confidence players and players that do need that rocket, should I say, to get the best out of them.
Do you know one of the biggest ones that Harley, you and I have played with, and Tone, don't you know him as well, is Curtis?
Yeah,
Curtis Coombs, who is a good footballer, but a massive confidence player. He's not someone you could have in the changing rooms and have a right old go at him because he'd crumble. And there's a lot of players like that.
Back at Westfield with Tone Duncan Bawley, it's you knew if you needed to send Bawley open on someone, you'd it needs to be a player that could take it and you get the best out of them.
Yeah, I think the best managers and the best coaches and coaching setups definitely are aware of players' needs, psychologically, especially sort of nowadays when the game's evolved in that way. And I think that links quite well back into the whole mental health conversation as well, to be fair, in terms of football being in a safe environment, safe for people to talk about anything that is going on. And Harley, you made a point before we come on about the social impact of football as well. I don't know if you
what was that question? Harley, you had a question
that fits quite well, I think.
Well, it was like
what's going on? What's Tony being so nice
today? Thinking about what
Mate, someone kick Dunk.
Dunk, you look a spanner with the hair. Is that better, mate? Honestly,
there we go. That's better. Well,
the hair.
Yes.
You making coffee whilst
you.
on the podcast, slurping out a cup of coffee. Honestly, I've got a twitch coming. Doing my head in. Go on, Harley. What are you doing?
So I was about to cut loose.
Yeah. Harley,
socially, football does a lot for me, but what does it do for you? Like, football aside. Start with Tony.
What I get out of it socially, in terms of why I played.
Socially, other than because you love football.
Okay, so for me, I stopped playing properly quite a few years ago. The biggest thing I missed when I stopped was the dressing room. And that's why I went into managing. One of those reasons was I enjoyed the laugh in the dressing room, mixing with everyone, the social aspect of it. So starting up again this summer when we started the men's team, I loved that aspect of it again. Massively different age range we got in our Pass+Move adult team, different backgrounds, different interests, different personalities. But I really missed that sort of team spirit and the crack in the dressing room. So that's the biggest thing I got out of was the social interaction. I think it's brilliant, and you have friendships for life from football. Me and Dopey here with the hair, I've known him since he was 13. Dunk, when you joined Parker.
Yeah. You hated me at first, still do, didn't you?
I ain't gonna say because Josh has got to edit. He's still a spanner. So. But yeah,
how about you, Josh?
And you build friendships for life. I think.
Yeah, I got to join in with Tony quickly. I think that if we're talking about football, I mean, when me and Tony gave up, when we were talking about giving up managing the adult sides, there was me, Tony, and Bawley, the three of us running that unit. And when we were talking about it, I wasn't thinking I'm going to miss football on Saturday afternoons. I was thinking I'm going to miss the relationship I've got with Matt and Tony, the three of us especially. I was thinking about that was the bit that I was going to struggle to let go as such. And as Tony said, that atmosphere in the changing room. But where we've been incredibly fortunate, if I'm being honest, is what the three of us had, Tone, with Bawley on a Saturday afternoon. We've kind of been lucky enough to recreate with this bunch of idiots here because it's a very similar thing. And when you're talking about what I miss from football at the moment, and I massively miss just getting together with you lot on a Saturday mornings, breakfast afterwards at the CAF. Yes, obviously we love coaching the football and everything, and we love what we do, but the social side of it's massive. And that's what I miss. I miss it massively. I mean, we're lucky. We're still very good friends with Bawley. We don't see enough of them. But you create friendships that last for life.
I look back at especially at Westfield when we were managing, Smithers as a goalkeeper coach. Great relationship with Smithers. Love working with Smithers. John Holland as physio. Now, I haven't spoken to Dutch and to Smithers in years. But I still look back with great fondness and I like to class them as friends, and you look back on it, and I'm sure anyone you spoke to in football, be it as playing, be it as coaching, you have great friendships, and you're closer to some people than you are others. It's a natural thing, like it in a work environment. You get on with some people better than you do others. And even when we were managing, there was players like you boys, Harley and Tom and Ross, when he was there playing under us, that you have a natural, strong relationship to. And then there's other players you didn't get on with, not get on with, but you didn't have quite as close a relationship. And it's, I could bump into certain players in the street and have a conversation for half an hour and feel like I only saw them yesterday. And then there's other players you just say hello to as a passing comment. And it's just that. It's the social stuff. For me, I think it's a brilliant question that Harley thought of.
Yeah.
For me, it is the friendship factor and that relationship building from it. And
it's actually
you almost brain dump all the stuff in your head when you're talking to a friend, and you're not even talking about anything specific, but because you're unloading on just information, that makes you feel better in yourself. It's funny. Me, it's key.
Also, like-minded people. It helps so much because a lot of us have all gone through very similar things in life. Someone's having a bad day. It's like everyone just builds them up.
I'm going to say it's even at school. I'm friends. Like when I was at school, I'm friends with the people I was friends at school with because my interest is football.
Yeah.
But I can't think of. Okay, maybe I can. No, I was going to say, there's not many of my mates who don't have an interest in football. And yeah, you think I literally would not be sitting here. Well, Josh, because unfortunately I had to meet you when I was about 3 years old, but I would not be sitting here with all of you now, like if it wasn't for football. And we wouldn't have. I think Saturdays you literally dedicate to football. Saturday mornings.
Yeah. Saturday football day.
Well, Monday,
Saturday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
But I look at that. Look at the age range of us six, and it varies from early 20s up to mid 40s. And where would you have that sort of connection with people? And it's for me, I feel better being around when we're all together, and you can just. You're not even talking about a problem or anything specific, but you're
just talking about
communicating,
rubbish.
And you're just and it's just the practical jokes we play on each other and the messing about and
acting like
I still owe you lot for that. Acting like I'm 14.
Why'd you remind him of that? You've forgotten about that.
I've forgotten that as well.
Mate, I'm like the size of an elephant. I never forget.
Cut him in half.
I didn't do anything. I was just watching.
We ran away there. Your face. I'm off.
It's going to happen.
Oh, Harley was scarred, didn't he?
It's just mental.
If we're talking about this as well, about what we take from football, changing the tack slightly, linking into the mental health, and I've had this conversation with parents as well before. I don't know about you lot, but I found as well, no matter what was going on in my life, and we've all had tough periods, and when I think back to when I was a youngster, I can remember when I was older as well, things that obviously we've had to go through, me and Suze. When I walked onto a football pitch, for 90 minutes, everything else evaporated. Almost, that escapism, that ability that football can bring to you when you walk onto a football pitch for 90 minutes, it just focuses your mind on something completely different. And it almost allows the stress to kind of drop away from you, because you can kind of, I know it sounds cheesy, but for 90 minutes, you leave your troubles behind. You just forget about it. You walk onto a football pitch and it gives you that break from whatever else is going in.
So cliche, but it's true.
It can't be undervalued how important it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's another side to that you have to be careful when, especially more so with coaching than when you're playing, although I've got it wrong on a pitch when I've been playing, when I've been walking onto a pitch with things going on in my mind. You can let the emotions of what's going on outside life and take it onto a football pitch, especially when you're coaching, more so when you're coaching, I think, where you have to be careful if you're coming into a coaching game and you have got things going on in the outside world, that you don't bring it into a coaching environment. But football, when I was playing especially, I can remember those times, certain times especially, and I'd walk onto a football pitch, and for 90 minutes, it got me through, because it was almost like a pressure valve. For 90 minutes, everything else was left behind, and I could just play football. And it was like in that 90 minutes, all the pressure that built up on me because of what was going on in the outside world, in the real world, just eased everything. And
we have
I don't think that can be underestimated.
We hear in terms of mental health that exercise is really important. It releases the positive endorphins. It makes you feel better. And there's a reason why they encourage you to exercise. For me, football was a bit, I can go for a run and I'd feel better for doing something. But on a football aspect to it, you're with other people. So you're communicating with people as well as getting the exercise. That for me was the benefit of it. I loved playing, massively loved it. But I look back, I played for a number of different clubs, and I look back with fondness at the clubs I built up closer relationships with people. So I was at Westfield for a long time, and there's the side we had done with AJ, Dommy, that group was brilliant, because we had such a close knit group of players, Poddy, Drinky, etc. And certain sides you play in, you'll have closer relationships with certain people, and you'll remember it with fondness. But even in sides where I was playing in that I didn't have that close knit ties, I was at Lewis, at Peacehaven, I still loved playing there, still loved being in that group, and I only look back at it with fondness. It's, for me, it's back to Hardy's question, it's the social side of it is massive.
It's kind of that relationship that everyone's got in our men's team now, to be fair. It's such an enjoyable place to be, whether you're training, whether you're playing. Everyone goes to the pub after.
But it links to kids football as well, doesn't it? In terms of, I talk about it from an adult perspective. I look back at my youth football with great fondness, and I still keep in touch with players I played youth football with. It's brilliant. Tom mentioned in a previous podcast about one of the buzzes you got, mate, in terms of had a team at a tournament and every single kid was from a different school.
Yes, yeah.
And that is that social interaction that there's kids that probably wouldn't be friends, wouldn't be talking, but because they're in a football environment, they all work together, they're working towards a common goal, they're interacting with one another, and they're building relationships. That they should last for life, effectively. You look at how that works and the importance of that in terms of opening up, doing something physical that's important for your good health. I think football's massively.
Football is like a lot of environments in terms of you get all kinds of people that are motivated in different ways. You know, I get people that are quite outgoing. You know, I get people that are very within themselves. There's a lot at the moment. It's quite projected in the media at the moment about reaching out to people. You know, especially at the moment we're all in lockdown, and just send someone a text, just FaceTime someone, you know, just see how they are. It doesn't have to even be like serious. Just go, you know, how you doing? Are you all right? I think football is so underrated in terms of it's almost like an excuse to see people, because I think it's so easy if you're going through sort of some bad times to just lock yourself away. I think where you've got training and you're expected to be at training and you've got a game and, you know, then you hang around afterwards, it gives you that opportunity to have conversations that normally you maybe try and avoid.
How many times have you before a game or before training in the past, especially Dunk, you and I used to have to train twice a week, play at the weekend, decent amount of travelling. How many times you've got, I really can't be done with this tonight. But by the time you get there, you do it, the feel-good factor after of doing it and mixing and messing about with people I just don't think it can be undervalued. It's huge.
Again, Tone, thank you. You've almost suggested there that I actually used to train. What's going on with you?
Halfway through saying that, I was thinking,
can you go cycling more often?
Jesus.
No, I think the social aspect, I can't deny it, it's absolutely huge. It's a massive part of it. But for me, there's, again, like I say, it is that, but it's the mental health side of it as well for me. In that there's something very unique about football. I mean, they say meditation's the ability to allow to function, and one part of your brain focuses on the mundane task, so the other half can switch off. I walked onto a football pitch, unlike when I jog or I cycle, my mind would still be ticking and turning over. I walk onto a football pitch, I don't know, it's just something unique about the game. Maybe it's because I love the game so much, I have passion for it. Maybe it is the people I'm surrounded with while I'm playing, but for 90 minutes your brain switches off and you think about nothing.
I agree with it, but I think Josh's brain isn't actually working. Mate, what are you playing? Josh has found the background function. Well done, son.
I think you can take this full circle when we were talking earlier about bugbears, about things that really annoy us. I would take this back to
Josh.
When we send texts out about games and you say we have a meet time, so if it's a 12 p.m. kickoff, we'll meet at like 11:20, 11:30, whatever, right? And people turn up late, right? People turn up late and they just go, oh well, the warm up's only just sort of starting or whatever. It's fine if we're a couple of minutes late.
Brandon. I was looking at you there, Brad. I knew you were about to say that.
But that time that your kids, players, whatever, get before you start warming up, I think is so important. Not in terms of the game you're about to play, in terms of socially. So training. If you can get to training 5-10 minutes early, and your kid's got a chance to have a kickabout with everyone else and have a chat. How's your day at school? You know, what have you done with your hair? Are they new boots? They look ridiculous. Done.
All these aimed at Dunk.
But it's that kind of thing that I think it's so underrated. You know, don't turn up when you're supposed to turn up a little bit early. Give them that chance to have that social interaction, because I think it's completely undervalued, to be honest.
I completely agree.
Go on, Dunk.
No, all I was going to say, Tom, and I'm not saying this because, yes, I have a habit of having a fluid sense of timing, but when it gets to the get there early, let your kid have that moment, I get that. But also, I am very aware these days of how tough it is for some parents to get their multiple kids where they need to be. So I do. You're completely right, Tom. And any parent listening, if they can get their kid there a few minutes early to have that little bit of extra social interaction, do it, because what it brings to them technically as a football person, socially is massive. But also, I do get it that some parents will struggle. So, sorry, Tom.
No, mate, you're absolutely right.
I was going to say, on sort of like going down to a youth level, and not even so much about the players, it's a bit of an odd one, but the parents as well, because the parents probably would never interact with the other people. Josh and I have been to a couple of like drinks, like and barbecues with my team, which we'd never even have ever talked to these people, and it's just like a whole different sort of community thing. And everyone just gets together, and there's a quote. I think it's from Fernando Torres. I'm pretty sure.
Fernando.
And he said, I'm pretty sure it's. He says, football is the biggest religion, and it's not even a religion, and that's like so true because wherever you go over the world, football.
It's universal language.
It's literally, you could go to another country, like when we go to Holland, and everyone's here for the same reason. Everyone will get on. Everyone will play football. The kids can't even talk to each other, but they're all here to play football, and they will respect one another, and it's just great. And like Tone said about exercise as well, and going back to mental health, when I went up to Beachy Head to go and do a film for Katie, what's his face? I can't remember his name. The chaplain up there, and I went and did that, and out of the blue, and it really like sort of touched me, and I've stayed quite close to, like, me and Katie message quite a bit about stuff now, and it's just that I did that, and since then mental health is like really sort of hit home with me. And Josh, I'll go a bit deep here with you, if you don't mind, but basically like me and Josh talk about it, and if Josh doesn't get out and sort of speak and get out and do exercise, he can get mental. You can get quite down, you get quite mental about it. And it's the same with me, because I spoke to Josh about it the other day. I might have put a little bit of timber on since we've been on lockdown. And I said to Josh the other day, and I went out for a run, and it's the first time I'd literally gone out and done proper exercise in like 2 weeks, and it just cleared my mind. And literally, you just don't realise how much exercise, football, and going out and doing stuff can really, really clear your mind. I won't lie, like literally I was sitting there and I'm probably like breaking down over it, messaging Josh going, I've gone for a run, and it's realised I need to change myself around and all that sort of stuff. But it's important to talk, like Tom said as well. Like I know ITV do that thing, don't they?
Get talking.
Keep talking. It is important to talk about how you feel, because it might just be a little issue, but it can keep eating away at you the whole time. And you don't realise it, and you can get yourself in a really, really sort of sorry state over it. And if you don't talk, then things do start popping in your mind. That
it creeps up on you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's not just.
You don't realise.
There's obviously a trigger that makes you feel that way, but it can be not just one big thing. It can be lots of little things. Yeah. And before you know it, you're feeling in a depressed state, or you just can't be bothered, you're lacking motivation to do anything. The bike riding thing we've all been doing, so we spoke earlier about the London Brighton side of it. I've loved doing that because it's getting me out. And I felt a bit ropey during lockdown, especially. And the last week or so has been really tough. But getting out and on the bike and doing something makes me feel better. The other thing to that is there's me. So this morning it was me, Brad, Harley, and Luke, the four of us. So I'm getting the physical benefit, but we're having a laugh as well. We're having a chat. We're interacting, and that is as good as the exercise is for me. It's that mixing, and it's almost not quite the dressing room banter, but you're having that interaction with each other, messing about, taking the mickey out of Brad being Miss Daisy. But it's all it's that mixing side of it. And we sat, and Harley had to shoot off, but me, Brad, and Luke went down on the beach and had a paddle, trying to loosen the legs off, and sat on the beach and had a chat for 10 minutes after. Stuff like that is. And we didn't even speak about anything. It was just general chit chat. That makes it. I think it's
I think
I've really enjoyed that.
There's probably, in my mind, this has been quite almost like a heavy podcast. I think with the subjects we're talking about, maybe some of our players are watching this and they find it hard to get through. Maybe some parents, I don't know. I think from a one of our players' point of view watching this, congratulations if you managed to get this far.
Well done.
But I would say, the things that we're saying, you maybe don't understand it, possibly, I don't know, especially younger players, but we're like role models. So, people probably look up to us, especially in our teams.
Very low bar.
But hopefully we set a good example. And I think
a few of his players look down to Tony.
I think it's important to recognise that even us and people that are trying to help you do things, we go through bad days and we go through bad times, especially at the moment where you may be struggling. I've heard a couple of stories of maybe players are struggling because they can't get out, they're not playing football, they're not seeing their mates. Speak to us, just say to your mum or whatever, or even just drop us a text, we'll give you a ring, we'll FaceTime you, whatever. I think it's really, really important to not be afraid to do that. And you will feel a lot better for doing that. And I think from the parents' point of view, the point we made about socially, I think some parents can get caught up in the world of football. And Dunk, we spoke about No Hunger in Paradise a few weeks ago, about parents shipping their children around and to different clubs and trying to make them the next big thing. We've had players leave us to go to different setups because they maybe don't think we're professional enough, and it's maybe we're too friendly, if you know what I mean, in terms of it's not just all about the football. We are building relationships and we have a bit of a laugh. Don't underestimate that. That is so important. You're not just coming to a football session or a football club. It sounds really cliche, but we are a family and we do care, and we care about.
I think massively. Yeah. I think you've kind of touched on something there, which we've covered slightly before. But if I look at our position in grassroots football and where we sit, I don't see our position as being solely, let's say, the one of a better phrase, an elite academy to help to progress football for young footballers on professional football. If that happens, great. That's brilliant. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to help these young kids fall in love with the game of football and develop as young men, young women, and to be here for it. The way I see it is we are a family and we should be here for them from now all the way through until hopefully they're bringing their kids to Pass and Move.
Absolutely.
And the reason we're a family is, and you've hit the nail on the head, Tom, is if we do this right, and I think we are doing it right, we should be here for those kids, young men and women as they grow up, and they should know that we're always here if they need help in any shape or form. They'll build the kind of relationships with us lot, with their other players, with other parents, that they know there's help there for them if they need anything, and they've only got a call. And that's what we're building, mate. We're building. Well, I think it was Susie said it at the last presentation evening. She turned around to me and she said, "You're not building a football club. You're building a community because of the scale of it." And that's what we are, mate. We're building a community, and that community means we're here to support every single one of our players and parents and coaches if they need anything. We're at the end of the phone.
Absolutely.
We'll always be here for you. That's the idea, and I love that. I look down you look down the path into the future, and I can't wait eventually till we're coaching kids of, for want of a better phrase, who are kids now. The kids of young players who are here now who complete that whole cycle, as we're seeing our young players now becoming coaches. I love what we're producing, but I think it's such a good message, Tom, that you've hit on. That's what we are, mate. We're not a football club, we're a community, and we're here to help them any way, shape or form, whatever they need.
Yeah, bang on.
Yeah. No, that is a really, really good point. But yeah, mental health is just so important, and it's good that over the last sort of few years it's sort of been brought to the forefront. It's been brought to the forefront a lot more, and even just sitting here now, I'm just thinking, I do my football games like for the kids in the morning. Like I'll have a 9 o'clock kickoff. Why do I turn up after to Pass and Move? Because I want to come and see you guys. I do also want a breakfast.
Because you want breakfast, so lardy.
Bridge cap. Well, they're doing work at the bridge cap.
Let's say that. I was about to say that. But seriously,
I came into the toilet. Sorting the toilet out.
No, seriously though, I do my game on a Saturday, and then I come after to come and talk to all you guys, because you just have a laugh, think you? It's just banter. It's just so funny.
Yeah. It's the same with like Harley's training. So I don't train Harley's age group, but after I finish at Claremont, I'm on before him. more often than not, I'll stick around for 10, 15 minutes just to have a chat. You know, him and Polly have a bit of a crack.
We're doing that at the academy with me as well. To be fair, Josh can pop in and say hello. Crutch on a Monday after you finish.
We love it.
Session.
Yeah.
And
it's brilliant.
When I said earlier about the best bit I like is turning up and watching games that aren't my games, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why. To be honest, you get to stand on the sidelines and just have a bit of a chat, see how everyone is. Yeah, love it.
It is odd. It's just odd how like you do that, isn't it? It's like because sometimes Josh, you've been coaching at Centres Academy for a session, and I've come straight from work and I've just turn up like when your session ends and literally just talk to you for 10 minutes and go home. But I feel like I need to because.
But we have holiday coaching as well. We've been doing holiday coaching at Catchfield.
Yeah.
Brad will rock up, have a cup of tea. Harley will rock up in his suit.
I'll rock up in a really tight suit, and I'm like, hello.
And have a cup of tea.
Luke never turns up because he's at work. Same with you, Tone.
Yeah, Tony's. I've never seen Tony at holiday.
I've only been there when I'm on holiday.
CC. Tony's company.
Edit that out, Josh.
Do I actually need to?
No, you're all good, man. No one watches this anyway.
I don't know. We're quite big in France.
I mean, no one gets to this point of it. We are quite far in.
Linking what Dunk said earlier about we're there for everyone. I think I love the fact that London to Brighton bike ride has gone from me and Luke talking about being two fat old men in a bit of lycra, thinking we'll take it on to
now you've got 4 fat men in lycra.
Now we've roped in. Then Dunk got roped.
I'm not fat. I don't get in lycra.
Dunk got roped in on his girl's bike, and then Harley's. Brad jumped in. Harley's hopefully going to sign up. Tom might be buying a bike. Josh has got his old BMX that he's going to get out of the cupboard. I love the fact that this is suddenly growing from being 2 fat boys going off on a bike ride to everyone starting to get involved.
Josh, shall we do it on a tandem?
I would love to see it that we get, if there's any parents within the club who fancy getting involved and fancy doing it for a bit of a laugh. Yeah, it's not. If anyone thinks it's a quick pace, just walk alongside Brad while he's cycling. To be fair,
it's worth turning up just to see Tony in those lycra shorts that come up over his shoulders that make him look like something out of the WWF. It's a big brilliant, with his little white t-shirt underneath.
It was this morning when we were stationary before we even moved. Luke Baldwin just falls over.
Yes, Luke had a topple this morning
and just went, "Oh no!"
And it was me and Harley scrapping around trying to find our phone to get a picture, but he got up.
I did it.
He hadn't even gone anywhere. He literally. I'm looking at my handlebars, looking for my phone to try and set my stuff up, and all I hear is "Ah!"
it all happened in slow motion.
He's like a ginger tortoise on his back like this. Brilliant.
He knew he was falling, and he'd already called. Oh no! As he was there, he just couldn't unhook his cleats.
We've all done it.
I did it the other day, 2 yards from the house. I took one cleat off, went to stop because I needed to check something. But as I went to put my right foot down, my weight shifted to my left, and I couldn't unclip my left foot quick enough, and had a panic. Went over like a sack of potatoes, and all I heard the guard next to me was, "You're all right there, mate."
It's the panic.
My worst one we got from Norman's Bay to Pevensey. I was stuck.
Is this where I was with you?
Got to the lights. This was about 5 years ago. Got to the lights. Okay. Car pulled alongside me, and I forgot to take my foot out the foot out the pedal. Didn't change down the gear. Literally came to a standstill. Looked to my right. Had a panic. There's a car there. The car looked at me. They looked at the lights. They looked back, and I'd gone. I literally just gone straight down. I'm laying on the pavement. Brilliant.
We went out the other couple of weeks ago, and I was on the old rubbish bike, so I was struggling to keep up with them. And him and Luke had shot off. This is around by the Star Inn, and eventually I finally caught them up, and they were about to give me all the sarcasm about come on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Tony just went. He just couldn't unclip, and he just collapsed in front of me, and I was like, "Oh right, that sorts out."
But again, this now, we're all laughing and joking about it. How this brings out from the mental health side of it, the exercise, the crack we have doing it, taking the mickey out of each other.
So the message is, if you want to make yourself feel better, mock others.
Come with us.
Yeah.
Fall off your bike, you'll be fine.
And we will rinse you. Absolutely.
I think that's a solid message to end on.
Did anyone?
And on that bombshell.
Has anyone actually written down any questions?
No, mate, I think we've done enough.
I think we're done.
I've got
Josh,
some.
Josh, what have you got? Go on, do a couple.
Mine are all about the men's team mainly.
Oh,
Right,
God.
next person. Anyone else got any questions?
Who's next?
No. Should we go for the gaffer of the men's team next season?
Tom Cousins not on it.
Tom, I'm quizzing you. Worst footballer in the men's team.
Is the first question, can I play captain? No.
It's the last one, actually.
Who's the worst player in the men's team?
Worst footballer, not necessarily the worst player, the worst footballer in the men's team.
Charlie Watkins.
Most important
Charlie,
player.
Charlie is the worst player I've ever seen to score a very good goal.
He's got a couple at Millwall.
Right, he got a decent one at Millwall, didn't he? Go on, Josh. Sorry.
So, most important player.
Boy, is that aimed at me again?
Yes.
Connor Holland, because no one else is going to play in goal.
Yeah,
True
fair
story.
That's good for you.
What is your vision for the men's team, Tom? What's our philosophy going to be?
Premier League.
Mate, obviously, aim high. What's the philosophy, or what's the aim? What's the vision?
Yeah, what's your aim? Sort of, aim, vision, whatever you want.
It should complete the pathway. A lot of our players, youth players, will go on and play at a much higher level than we do. But especially I see it under 16s, when you turn 16 and you're still part of our youth teams, I spoke to Tom Cousin, who's going to run it with me the other day, about it's such a hard transition from playing youth football to playing adults football. No matter what level you play, the game is very, very different. So I think it's really important for us to have that pathway where when you turn 16, and if you want to, and if we've got room or whatever, which we will, then you get the chance to play adults football surrounded by people you already know are going to look after you, are not going to get on your back when you try and express yourselves. I think that's, even if it's the odd one like here or there, I think that's probably the vision for it. That's the most important thing. No matter what level we get to, that's huge for me.
Yeah,
but that was the reason. I mean, that was the reason we started last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In that long term, having that pathway, and this year is the first year with Andy's team
where it will happen.
To come of age, where we'll see the kids training, we'll see them wanting to play, and we'll gradually see that being seeded in, and then that will flow every year. And I assume the number of adult teams will grow based on
that's why
demand.
I'm hoping that we'll have a reserves, and then the year after we'll have a third team. No matter what level we're at, it's giving more opportunities. That's what we're all about.
You look at that, and then you've got the other side of it, where Luke set up the veterans team.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, there's people within the club that are over 35 want to play football.
It's football
we
for
can
life.
help with that. It's again, it links to that whole well-being, that whole family ethos that we spoke about. I think it's really important that we can offer that.
Yeah.
Right, last one for everyone is the funniest moment of season, men's team.
Really?
If anyone brings up my miss, I will.
The one that springs to mind is Brad's miss. Well, there's Brad's miss, there's Dunk's miss, but I know he'll cry if we talk about that for too long. Tony's lack of header the first game of the season.
My funniest one must surely be pre-season, when I just led the warm-up and Sean goes, right, off you go on a run round, and I go to run. And literally, my calf felt like someone had shot me or cut me. And I'm literally laying on the floor, writhing in agony. Everyone's going, you're just trying to get out. Honestly, I've never felt pain like it.
I've got the answer.
I bet you wish you'd done that warm-up now, didn't you,
Tony? Oh, my God, yeah.
What happened to Ryan when we was doing 2.5 minutes at Catsfield in pre-season? What happened to him?
Don't kill him.
What about me? That's what I was going to say. Me rugby tackling Ryan.
Is that what that was?
We did a 2.5 minute, right? And then Ryan, to his credit, said, I'm going to do a little bit more. And so we're all having our drinks. Ryan goes off on another run, and I can't remember who I was with, but it was just like, I've got to. So I think it might have been Brad or so. I said, watch this. And I just waited for him to run past my line of sight, ran round the back of him, and then just hit him with a beautiful rugby tackle. Shoulder lot.
No, the best moment of the season is one word. Safe.
No, one of my favourite ones.
For me, it was that pub after that game. What was it in
Icklesham.
Yes.
Robin Hood. We rocked there. Just keeps on giving us free food. It was fantastic.
She's great.
Like, bring it here. Come on. It's the trifle.
One of my favourite moments was Mr. Golding. I think we were playing Westfield. Literally kicks someone up in the air, looks at it, and goes, "That's what you get. This is my playground." Is that we're all just going, I'm not going to back you on that, mate.
Mate, I wish I'd heard it. I'd never heard him say that. That's amazing.
Oh,
I
mate,
shouldn't have been at that point, probably.
Looking back, it was quite funny at the time. Tom was kind of trying to hold the ball for someone, and I came through kind of, I think I got the ball. Might have got the man as well. I just looked to the side. There's 3 of my players from my team just staring at me.
A funny one is a bit of a touchy game, but when the Hawk curse one, and when it all kicked off, and then just watching Ross just run away. That was so funny. He was literally like running, like, it's not me. That was so funny.
That massive bloke going, yeah, you don't fancy it. And I'm just there going, to be honest, mate, no, not really.
Nah, I'm all right, Start.
I quite enjoyed Settlescombe when everyone was arguing. Me and Winger had a game rock, paper, scissors.
I had a running commentary with Cookie that entire game. That was
Cookie
brilliant.
missing the penalty was a highlight.
Yes.
After literally going, I'm going to score. Penalty after 2 minutes, straight over the bar. Cheers, mate.
He passed it to Connor. Worst penalty I've ever seen. Straight at the keeper.
Oh, yeah.
Good time. It's been all right.
So
Right. Should we wrap it up then?
I think
Yeah.
Been a pleasure.
See you
all. Thanks for coming on, Harley. Much appreciated, mate.
All right.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Tom, Josh, when you're getting your bikes, get involved in the Pass+Move cycle team.
When you pay me more.
What should we call it? Pass and cycle. Cycle and move.
Cycle and move was the one.
Or in Brad's case, cycle and don't move very fast.
or in Luke's case, cycle and fall.
I was going to say so.
Yeah. Stop them.
Right. Is it time to go? Because I've drunk 2 litres of Fanta.
Yeah, I really need a wait. I'm with you on that. All right.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good one, Jen. See you next week.
All right.
Good one, guys.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Hello, Dunks.